All right, we'll get started in just a second. I'd like to let you all know beforehand, you can join a line by requesting to speak. We obviously have a list of questions to answer, but we're also going to try to allow as many people to ask live questions as we can. So there are 3 of you in the queue already, but feel free to throw yourself in that list before it gets too long, if you have a genuine question, of course. All right, let's get started. Thanks for waiting, guys. So, first off, we're going to have the team introduce themselves, describe a little bit about what they do. You know me as Brother on the forum. I'm Juice here, pronounced like Zeus or Juicebox. My role on the team, aside from being a space vagrant, is to help the community, help you guys, to support you guys in any way that I can, communicate updates, work on expanding the forum and different communication channels overall. So you can think of me as just generally the comms guy. Next up, we'll have Eugene. Eugene, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hey, everyone. I'm Eugene. I take care of product here. So essentially everything that relates to building product, working with design team, collecting feedback from you guys. And by the way, thanks a lot for sharing a lot of feedback. It actually helped us a lot in the process of shaping our roadmap. And that's all about me, essentially. Shall I pass it to our CTO, Memological Expedition? You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Dmitry, or Memological Expedition. I'm still here. I'm responsible for the app, for some technical moments like blockchain contracts and so on. For liquidity mining, of course, we'll answer about it later. So, thank you for letting me introduce myself. Let's go next.
Thank you, Memological Expedition, who is, like you said, in charge of liquidity provision and other development tasks and the dev team. Next up, Ivan, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, okay. So I'm Ivan or Ivan. I'm also some kind of community manager here. I'm trying to hear all your calls. I'm trying to talk with you, listen to all your feedback. And also I'm making social medias. That's something like that.
Yeah, and Ivan has also been very helpful with organization and planning for future forum developments and community projects. Next up, we have Father. Father, would you introduce yourself?
Hello everybody. Like really great to see actually like more than 100 people on this call. To be honest, didn't expect. It's fantastic actually. So I'm kind of like the initiator and the person who bring vision of colonization. And right now my main focus is kind of multi-chain. I'm thinking how to make this project like global and like really multi-chain. And I put most of my effort on economy of the project. So when our token has utility, when like everybody happy, and then everybody want to get like more tokens. More or less like that.
All right, thanks, guys. So, as you know, we have a list of almost 30 questions. Wow, great job. We're going to go through these one by one. When I'll read out a question, and the member of the team that's most equipped to answer it will answer it. If you need more clarification, feel free to hop in the request to speak line or send a message tagging the team in the general thread, and we'll do our best to get to all of those. The way I'm going to structure this to try to keep it fair is I'll do one question from the list that was provided, and then I'll let the next request to speak in, so we can do a sort of one-on-one. Keep in mind, we are hosting this call obviously for people around the world and for a team that is in, I believe, 4 different locations in the world right now. So some people are going to be tired. Some people are going to be more energized. It might take a minute to sort of work out some of these answers, but we're going to get you the answers that you're looking for. So we'll start off with the first question. Tokenomics. When liquidity provision? When LP? Will it be implemented, or will it be on Sushi, Venom, etc.? The team planned to release LP sooner, but didn't. What exactly caused the delay? So that's 2 questions in one. When are we releasing liquidity provision, and what kept us from releasing it earlier?
I think it's my question. It's my favorite question. I mean, not my question, but question for me. Liquidity mining is in development right now. We are actually testing it. We forked and improved some contracts, and we develop and improve design UX in our app. So liquidity mining is going to be in our app. I think we can do some teasers soon, and expected time is this week. I think that we can end our testing tomorrow, and we are looking forward to make this feature on this week. So there were some delays because we had some more urgent tasks, and yep, I think I answered it. Did I?
Yeah, that's great. So to sort of summarize quickly, just for everybody, we hope to release it this week, finishing testing tomorrow. We hit a road bump by other features. What he means, or other tasks, what he means is, we ran into some basically security tasks we wanted to. I kind of explained this on the forum already, but fleshing out sort of security around liquidity provision. So thanks so much for answering that question. Let's let in the first request to speak. Hirako. So basically the way this works is I have to click invite to speak in this list of requests, and so it might take a few seconds. I'm going to give it about 30 seconds, and if there's no response, then I'll move on to the next person in the list. So Hirako, are you around? I sent you the invite. Oh, and they dropped out. So we'll move on to Dom G93.
As I know, there is a special button which should be clicked by user. I'm not sure, but maybe Dom G93 should find some button.
Right. If you are in the request to speak line towards the bottom of the screen where you made the request, there should be another invite, and you just click the accept button. Okay, well, I'm going to leave that invite standing and we'll move down the list. And then if you figure that out, then we can continue just so that we're not holding up the time. So question number 2 from the list then is, when is the planned release of the decentralized exchange?
I guess let me try to announce this. The thing about DEX, right? We don't have set plans in terms of when we're gonna deploy it, but we're looking into that. And once we have some more or less clarity, we're gonna let everyone know. And this time we'll try to be more precise. So just I know it's not the answer probably you guys expect, but that's the only one I can just share right now.
Right. To be fair, there are going to be a few of the longer term questions that we're going to have to answer this way, not because we're not thinking about it, but because this is a long term project, that these things take time. It took, I was on a previous project building a DEX that was the main product, and it took us a year to launch a fully fledged exchange. And so we can integrate, but it's a matter of deciding priority as well. And so we're going to be launching some ways for the community to offer more concrete sort of votes for things in the near future. I'm working on, I don't know if you guys saw on the forum, there was a good post about concerns that requests get lost across the different platforms and that there's no central, like streamlined way to keep track of them. And so we're implementing something like that soon. But as far as when direct dates, it's pretty much, if it's on the roadmap, we're going to get it done, but the timelines are going to change. You know, space is unpredictable. All right.
Can I advise
Yeah.
something? I just
Sure.
maybe we can, because there's two set of questions. There's questions about tokenomics and there's the questions about gamification. Maybe we're just going to be capturing one question from tokenomics, another one from gamification, just like to cover everything today.
That's a good point. Okay. Yeah. So then the next question from the gamification section is, what are the use cases for Colony Token? Which and how many? Will there be more utility for Colony in the near term before gamification, for example? I'm going to let the team answer this, but I have a few thoughts myself as well, just to start it off. When we're thinking about use cases, each of the products that have already been asked about, right? Liquidity provision, a DEX, these are all going to be use cases. There's already upgrading your base. But of course, as the game develops, there's going to be more and more features. I'll let the team handle sort of more specificity about that.
Let maybe I also jump in terms of like utility. So that's kind of I think it's actually the most interesting thing, because like right now a lot of tokens will be generated like during the next couple of years, and I think even somebody in the forum like were asking about this like quite a lot. So we are kind of building a close economic system when Colony token is kind of like full of this system. And like this NFT and generation of Colony token is kind of like first stage when everybody has kind of equal opportunity to mint and generate these tokens. On the second stage, as guys mentioned before, we start working on like bringing way more utilities to the token. And as Aaron, you mentioned, one of the next like improvements that kind of boost utility for this is going to be DEX, when every pair is going to be against colony. More on that, we're gonna try to bring like router. I just did research and found that actually there's no one DEX on Harmony network has like cross-pool routers, which is going to be our like main advantage there. And then we will try to compete with Harmony DEXs with this our like router and cross-pool cross-pool transferring. Also based on like my like very like brief maths, so when we launch DEX, there will be a huge deficit of the tokens, and there will be a lot of like demand on like putting liquidity, but there will be not enough tokens to make it happen. So there's going to be a huge improvement. After all, when supply like will reach demand, there will come like a couple more like feature that will utilize those tokens. Also, like a very big feature, it's kind of stable coin that can be backed by different types of tokens. And usually a collateralization rate takes like 200% of or more, which will be next big thing that will make deficit of the tokens. So in this case, like even these two feature, it will make token in deficit for the next, I don't know, 1 or 2 years. So I think you guys shouldn't worry about where to put Colony in the next year for sure. I'm not sure if I answer, but that's two big things, which you will be surprised how much it will source tokens.
Yeah, I think those are all really good points. Before we move on to the next question, it seems I've sent a couple of invites out for the request to speak feature, and I'd like to figure this out sort of sporadically as the call goes on. So I'm going to invite everybody currently in this line for request to speak, because I want to know if the feature is working. So if you receive a request, if you're in the request to speak line and you receive an invite to speak, please accept it and then just mute yourself. I'm going to trust you to wait. Obviously, we do have the power to then remove you. So just be considerate. I'm going to send all the invites right now. And that way we can see if the feature is working. If it's not, I'll figure out a new way. Oh, there we go. Okay. Fantastic. So then let's let the first person who joined, Straff, go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I just want to say thanks for the project and all that. I'm sure I could speak for all of us. We're really excited to be a part of something at the ground floor. So my question is will there be any type of land expansion, or when the game moves multi-chain, like will there be a planet for maybe Polygon or Binance Smart Chain? That's it.
Yeah, I think I can jump in. Yes, that's also like one of like my second focus after like utility. We already preparing like plan for the expansion, and we had kind of like pre-conversation with Polygon ecosystem, and they consider to give us grant for the expansion. So yeah, it's coming, and I think it's coming like quite soon.
So
Awesome.
just to
Oh, yeah, go
clarify,
ahead.
if possible. So there will be multiple planets.
Yep, there's going to be multiple planets. Every planet will have own colonies, and every planet will have. So technically, it will be like independent colonies, and every colony will have like huge colony treasury that this colony will utilize on developing. And the idea is that every colony can kind of like developing themselves or growing like independently. But on the next stages, there is going to be a kind of economic communication between those colonies. So we're still thinking how to make it technically, but the idea is that independent planet, they develop and grow independently, and in terms of like economic, it's going to be same. So 100% of tokens going to be owned by community as well. And then I think the most interesting thing there is that to see which community like kind of like stronger, like which community is more aggressive, because initial setup is going to be similar for every colony, and technically when we release like DAO, and when community treasury will be released to community, you guys can do anything with those funds, and based on your like decisions will be depends how successful our colony will be. I think that's the most exciting like thing for me.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, great question. It's an interesting thing to conceptualize at this stage because I don't think we've seen sort of a fully fledged functioning DAO in this way that's sort of combined GameFi and making these decisions. And so when you try to think about the future of the game, realize that what we're building here is a model for colonization that can be expanded both as a core team directive and independent of us. And so to kind of like clarify a little bit of what Father was saying, if you launch a colony and you have sort of your DAO mechanisms in place where funding is available and you decide to sort of reproduce this model again and frame it as another planet, you can do that, right? And we can do that. And so the options are pretty much up to what the community decides to do at that stage. And right now, what we have to do is build out all of the fundamentals to make that happen. So the DEX, the LP, basically having these marketplaces. We're thinking about, borrowing and lending and other DeFi and DeFi 2.0 aspects to integrate with the GameFi that will allow everybody to sort of make these decisions. Okay, so
just one word, like more on that. If we will be able to succeed within the next couple of years with this kind of framework, there is like really big chance that this kind of frameworks can be kind of utilized when there will be like the real colonization of Mars, because I mean technically we shouldn't expect that the people on Mars will live with the rules which we live here. It might be like completely independent community with direct democracy and with like freedom finance. So that's actually like was our initial idea. So we wanted to build a framework that can be used by humans when they will be colonizing like different planets. But it's honestly it's a little bit like far away in the future. So like right now we're just doing our best to make it work on current blockchains.
Yeah, if you really want to think about like, what's the time frame for this project? And every project says, oh, this is a long-term project. No, this is quite literally it's infinite, because the applications really do just expand sort of exponentially. I'm going to give one more question to the request to speak list before going back to the list that you guys submitted in a text file. So Agent Greensticks, would you like to ask your question?
Thanks. Yeah, I just kind of want to elaborate on what was said earlier with regards to the multi-planetary system. It kind of fits in line with what the Star Wars model is. Are we saying that, and this is a question to McFarlane, are we saying that if we do decide to colonize the solar system and we look at expanding to other planets, would there be a use case as in where the MarsColony can potentially be the first colony to buy plots on another planet using the colony generated through whatever it is? Is that something that you might consider down the road, seeing that MarsColony is the first, I suppose there's probably going to have to be a kind of governance within the solar system, right?
Oh, can you just like elaborate a little bit more? Like, what's the exact question? Like, is MarsColony first? First what?
Would MarsColony have rights first to buy land on other planets?
That's actually.
And if you expand the metaverse kind of out into space, are you looking at like having a centralized governance body, quite similar to, I don't know if you watch Star Wars, but it's very similar to where it's governed from kind of one central and looks over the colonies, right?
But no, that's actually interesting question. But there is like two sides of that, I think. If you mean like the real like land on other planets, then there's probably nobody can sell it because it doesn't. There is no owner, right? Like, so people who will colonize there, it will be there. If we are talking about just making this project on multi blockchains, then probably like early adopters of the project on Harmony should have some like benefits when we like go to another chain, for example. If you mean that.
Yeah, that's pretty much spot on.
Right.
Consider.
Yeah, so I think both facets of that that Father mentioned are accurate. You can consider this a blockchain colonization model. So what MarsColony can essentially serve as is a prototypical DAO, right? So right now we don't have an example of a successful, live, thriving DAO with a massive community that knows how to run governance in a way that is reproducible. We have a few art collecting DAOs that vote on what to buy and where to spend money, but that's about it. This is an ambitious project in that it's trying to set the stage for all DAOs going forward as a blockchain colonization model. If you want to consider sort of literally space exploration, this is also possible, but the factors that determine it are going to be obviously the physical sort of demands of space travel and building a colony on Mars. We can build the framework, and you all know me, I've been doing that for years, but for everyone else that's still on Earth, it's going to be a much more complicated answer the way it plays out, and the future is quite far ahead, but I wouldn't necessarily say no. Okay, we're going to jump into the next question from the list before moving on to the next request. So, how much colony token will each NFT alien character cost?
I think I can answer this question. The right answer is actually we haven't decided. We're gonna look into discussion with community, so we're gonna try to involve community and figure out what should be the right price in colony tokens for that. And yeah, then just hoping you all will be able to take part, and we all can decide on this.
Maybe you guys can drop like on the forum how much it should cost. Like, yeah, pretty sure that it should.
Sorry, go on.
No, I'm done. I'm saying that like if you have any number in mind, just don't hesitate, drop it on the forum, and if everybody accept that, then it will be the. So we should kind of like practice in making decentralized decisions. I mean, and this is the project when everybody can participate and everybody can become like leader of this project. So, and we want to find like more people like that.
All right, great answer. Yeah, so tell us how much you want it to cost to buy initially when we launch, and then tell us how much you want it to cost so that you can make a profit. We're going to completely ignore that, so don't actually do that. I was just kidding. Okay, next question. Let's do a request. Padawan, speaking of Star Wars, would you like to share your question?
Huh. Yeah, so just real quick question, maybe two of them. You know, I'm really big into nodes. I'm just trying to create things that give me revenue. And you know, with nodes, you've got to kind of like burn your money and it's gone. Your economics are better than them, right? Because you get to keep your NFT, so there's a value there. But right now, if you upgrade, the cost of upgrading, you kind of get that back in like 60 days, which as a return is fantastic. And I love that. I'm just wondering, you know, what is it in the Treasury and you know, with what you're doing with your funds that sort of backs the value of Colony, you know, so that the value continues to give me that kind of return. And then one curiosity was, I used to be able to see the price of Colony on CoinMarketCap, and now I can't. I'm wondering if that'll come back.
I mean, regarding CoinMarketCap, I think it should get back. There was, I think you guys noted there was a lot of issue with the network. It wasn't stable, so the price sourcing to CoinMarketCap were affected with that. And then about the economic, I didn't get the exact question, but I got that economic is quite cool. I mean, I used to work on different types of economics in the blockchain tokenomics in the last 4 years. So the tokenomic for this project is kind of squeeze of all my knowledge, and I just tried to make it fair. And I see that. I mean, I see that it works. It's kind of already 1 month since its launch, and it's stable. And yeah, when we start releasing other products that will utilize tokens, it probably will be even more stable. So just doing our best with that.
I guess it's more like, what are you doing with the Treasury that's making, you know, that's backstopping the value, I guess?
Actually, we don't do anything. It's just collecting into the multisig, and just collecting on, and then later on we will be figuring out what will we be able to do with that. I mean, I can just give you a couple hints so everybody can start thinking about this, because Treasury is kind of community owned, and there was also, I think, question today or yesterday about how to bootstrap development or grow. So Treasury is one of the flow and should be used to get more devs, maybe get more independent teams who can work on that. It also can be used to generate some revenue for the colony. It can be used even as part of Treasury, can be used as venture capital, and we all together potentially can invest in space projects. We can invest in Tesla, whatever, guys, SpaceX. So technically, money can be used in any way that will be beneficiary for this. But right now, it's kind of untouchable because simply there is no liquidity, and we will start making some proposals only when we succeed with this liquidity mining and maybe pull a couple more millions into the liquidity. So any kind of grant or payment will not affect the stability of the token.
Listen, I hate to be the guy that says don't think about money, because if you're a human and you're not Jeff Bezos, chances are you have to think about money. But the truth is, the last revolution that Father and I fought in also had its own tokenomic. And in the first 6 months that event was ongoing, it wasn't really possible to get a reliable price. I'm not going to speculate on future prices of Colony token. I'm not really going to participate in those discussions. You guys are free to have them. I don't judge you for them, obviously. Just personally. However, one thing I can say with certainty is the price today is nowhere near what the actual price may be. It might be higher, it might be lower. I can't say. I have zero clue as to what that could be. However, I do know that how quickly token prices change when you have a project that's just launched. It's pretty much a standard that it's going to look completely different 2 months from now, let alone next year. Okay, so with that, sorry.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh yeah, great questions, guys, so far. Let's do the next one from the list, and then we'll get back to the requests. So in gamification, will missions be based on upgrades? For example, is there any point in maxing out a plot right now, or will each upgrade be its own mission? For example, will choosing to do a robot factory be one of the achievements in the game?
Let me answer this question. Just a second. So the question was, in gamification, will the upgrades be? Let me just take a look at this one. Well, gamification will be. All right, so the idea around levels, right, was not around actually, just like for everyone who actually haven't maybe read the gamification part, is we have different levels for robot assembly line, for transportation, for power plants, and the leveling system initially was based upon that when you upgrade the level, you actually have a higher throughput. So, for example, if you upgrade the power plants to level 3, you'll be able to produce more energy to supply transportation, to essentially build more robots, right? So that was like the initial idea. But of course, we getting a lot of really good feedback from community. So I just don't say it's set in stone, but that's the idea that we aiming to develop moving forward. Yep. So that's kind of short answer.
I can add a couple words, if you don't mind. I mean, I wasn't thinking about this before, but there was like Pixman and a couple other guys who were asking about what kind of benefits should land owners get when DeFi is launched. So I think that might be actually might be option. It's not. I mean, we didn't plan it yet, but for example, when it will be kind of liquidity mining or something like that. Logically, it makes sense if you have more upgrades, maybe you should have just higher reward for the feature, and then let's say anyone else from the world can still participate in the liquidity, but landlords will be always kind of having better benefits than people from the street. So it's a good point to think about. I think we should.
Yeah, and just one more thing. I realized we actually haven't answered well the previous question. Was about utility around Colony token. So we kind of skip this intentionally because we again received a lot of really good feedback about utilization of Colony token in the GameFi side. So a couple of things we're really considering, especially thankfully to Shestov's feedback for the team. We got ideas about using around renting, around mining land, around other use cases that definitely would be interesting, and potentially we can use that to utilize Colony token and also to burn it whenever it's going to be used. Just on the previous question.
Great. Yeah, that was good to add a little bit more to the utility question. For the sake of time, let's keep it moving. So I'm not 100% sure at what order you were in the line, guys, because I was sending the requests to make sure the feature was working. So if I get this out of order, I apologize, but I promise we'll get to all of you. Yovog, your question?
Hi, guys. I want to ask you no offense, but why are we in a hurry to go multi-chain? Because I think it's so early now to go on other chain, and I think it's better to develop the product on Harmony first, and then focus on expanding. My concerns are that going on other chain won't benefit us as much, and I think we will be kind of abandoned. So I think we need to create the product first on Harmony and then go to other chains. My concerns are you're just going to somehow grants hunting on other chain, and I apologize if that is sounding so. I see that other guys agree with me, and I apologize if it's somehow offensive.
If you mind, I'll just answer this question. So, thanks a lot for feedback. Actually, if you say if it looks like we are trying to go after other chains, it's actually not. The core team is focusing on the product, and we currently hiring more and more resources to specifically support Harmony side. So I would say everyone's looking into that. So from my end, I would say that maybe 99%, I and my team focusing on Harmony, and it's gonna be like the direction moving forward. And I'm just gonna maybe Father wanna share some thoughts around that too.
Yeah, I mean, I can add that, like I mentioned in the beginning, so it's going to be a kind of independent colonies, and like our colony should focus on developing our products for sure, and kind of expanding other chains. It on the firstly, it will go on in parallel. And secondly, expanding other chains, it means just deploying the same contracts on other chains, which means when every new feature will appear on Harmony, it will appear on other chains. So it's kind of difficult to say that expansion will slow down the development, but yeah, but on another side, I mean, there is a lot of issue with Harmony blockchain. It's like really difficult to build on this. If you guys build something on that, you will understand me.
Yeah, and just to note on that, as you guys remember, we actually had some users on Binance Chain. So we're also thinking about them, and we had also a roadmap that we also need to think about supporting them. So with that in mind, we were looking into just make sure we'll not forget, and make sure we also have product that we will deploy with the same logic that we have in Harmony, because that was our commitment.
All right, so it's already been we're nearing 45 minutes, so I'm going to close the request to speak. Everyone that is currently in the list will get to ask their questions, but I just want to make sure we get to the questions that were submitted in the written list as well. So to the next question in the written list, in the tokenomics section, will there be airdrops for landlords?
Airdrops of what?
Of
what?
Yeah, as I understood it, because I looked into this question earlier, let me just try to answer. So there's no specifics about what kind of airdrops, but just my answer would be maybe. Yes, so we're probably gonna be looking into engaging landlords since it's our first supporters. So yeah, just keep tuned up for the updates.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm noticing quite a few questions on this list have to do with sort of specifically implemented features. I'm going to preempt them just in case we can't get to all of them, and say that when you're thinking about, for example, one of the questions is, will there be a guild, clan, or alliance system? That's a really good idea, and the answer is definitely not no. But when it comes to specific features like that, basically the answer is going to be relatively the same for all of them, which is We are open to good ideas. The plans for this game are ever expanding, and shortly, ideally this week, I'll be implementing, or early next week, a better process for submitting ideas that we can track all of them and have more secure voting on them. So once that's implemented, questions like these can sort of live permanently on people.marscolony.io, the forum. So yeah, if we end up not getting to your specific gamification question, for example, just know that this is something that should be a discussion that is open. Let's move to the next request. So Opacular, do you want to ask your question? You're unmuted, but if you're speaking, we can't hear you. I'll give you a few more seconds.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
All right, Dex, we can hear you, but we're gonna have you wait. African Boy Dota was next in line if Opacular doesn't answer. So Opacular, feel free to stay in the line if you figure out your audio, but we're gonna move on to African Boy Dota for your question.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, great. Mine is more on the visual side of things, just a quick one. The user interface and the gameplay itself. The video you sent earlier where we voted for the 3D view to be implemented, is that how the actual gameplay is gonna be? Or was it just a video? Like, I'm talking about the visual aspect of it. Are we gonna be able to move characters and all in this gameplay?
Thanks a lot for your question. Let me try to answer this too. Yesterday we just got onboarded our lead 3D artist, going to be working on, she's a 3D/2D artist who's going to be working on game graphics. We're having questions on community forum, trying to see what you guys more into, like what kind of theme, what kind of graphics, and gathered all the feedback. And we finally we're gonna make a decision, and we'll be showing some samples shortly, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. So the video that you shared is seen, that was more of an ad. So I mean, we kind of like, we're looking into that at that point in time, an angle, but right now having lots of feedback, we're gonna consider all that. Yeah, we're gonna be updating you all, and also we'll let you know about all the functionalities, but definitely we considered all the feedback there. So if you had a chance to give your few points in deciding on the graphics channel, article, great. Otherwise, just please do. Yeah, that's essentially the answer.
All right, thank you.
Sure, thank you, Jim.
Yeah, thanks for your question. The next question in the gamification section: is there any good strategy for upgrades, i.e. power plants first to provide energy? Is it like DFK where you choose a type, DeFi Kingdoms, like you can choose to quest with fixing a power plant or build a Doom bot with Robot Factory? So to summarize this question, ultimately, are there good strategies for upgrades, and what are the specific mechanisms that we'll build out into that questification in the future?
All right, I guess it's a question again to me. At this point in time, right, until we launched the gamification features, and there's no specific, I would say, like strategy for you to choose, right? That right now, essentially, we're unlike DeFi Kingdom. I think in our case, all those elements you're building are necessary for you to like survive. I mean, aside from the robot assembly, but yeah, those things are needed, right? As for strategy, that's something that's probably going to be seen it more once we have like more features coming. So I wish I could give more inputs, but so far, just the goal for us to just like to build the colony, including all the basic facilities. And that's the thing. Hope I answered your question. Otherwise, just like shoot out on forum. We'll try to answer it later. If there's any other question on that note.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. If if we don't end up getting to a question, or you feel we didn't answer a question completely, make a post on the forum in the community section, and we will get back to it with a more detailed written answer. Also, one of the previous question askers, excuse me, was apologizing for being sort of like offensive. You guys can be as direct and as frank as you want, right? Don't ever hesitate to speak up or to ask questions or to offer criticisms. I mean, I think the golden rule applies to everything, which is don't be an asshole, but you guys aren't like that. So yeah, never feel bad for bringing up a criticism or a thought. The next person in line to ask their question is Dex Laboratory. Would you like to ask your question?
Yes, thank you, and hi guys, nice to meet you. On my mind is actually two things. First one is, how do you expect to decrease current inflation of the token? I mean, as people keep expanding their bases, there will be less and less buying pressure on the token. And at some point, people having, like, let's say 10, 20 plots of land upgraded to, let's say, 3 to 4 colony per day, they can just, start cashing in. So that's gonna be pretty massive sell pressure. And therefore, with current inflation, this might, just kill the price, and not only kill the price, but drive people away, So what I'm just wondering, do you plan to implement some sort of lockups like they did from the very beginning in DeFi Kingdom, or perhaps something, to just slow down the inflation rate of the token?
I can jump in on this. So personally, I'm against like lockups. I believe that everyone should be able deposit or withdraw like any token anytime. I mean, that's purpose of like blockchain or freedom, or like why we all like doing this. So at least I will be like pushing until the end. Do not have any kind of lockups and make it completely free. In terms of like the pressure and like the huge minting speed. So I mentioned also in the beginning, actually launching DEX when one side liquidity for every pool will be colony is kind of solution for that. So people will even like wait for more to get more tokens to put more liquidity there. So it's kind of like closed economical like process when let's say you generate like $100 on tokens, then what you're going to do with these tokens? Of course, you can sell and drop the market, or you can put it in liquidity, let's say against one or against stable coin. And then normally like liquidity providers, they generate like revenue in the trading fee. I don't know, like 20-30% APY, which is like really, really good. And then we will try to make liquidity. So we will focus our like liquidity incentives on top trading pair. You can actually like find out that like most trading pair is kind of like one stable coins like Bitcoin, Ether, and we will just try to provide like the best liquidity in the whole ecosystem for this pair. So everybody who will want to trade will come to us, and best liquidity means more trades. And I also thinking about later on implement some kind of aggregator. So whatever people want to trade within this ecosystem, they will come to us. We will aggregate other DEXs, and then we will show best price. And ideally, we will have the biggest pools on the market, at least for 3-4 top coins. We will have the smallest slippage, which will attract most of the traders. So that's kind of like strategy.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and I would just add on to that too, that I think as use cases grow, that problem sort of shrinks, in addition to the fact that there's always the option of gamifying burning tokens, right? That's something that DFK does quite a lot. And so, like, economic control is a live, living, breathing thing. And this isn't to dismiss any questions about it. I think this should be an ongoing conversation. I think all of these things should be an ongoing conversation. But well, how would I put this? Father and I both have a good deal of experience market making and with building out successful dexes. So we are in good hands, I would say. On to the next question, though, for the sake of time, but we can continue this on the forum, this discussion. How do you plan on distributing the NFT characters? Will there be a limit per address?
I guess let me try to answer this one too. So we had also a couple of ideas around that, and what we came about, like, since we initially thought about, and that was a idea from the community that one account should have only one character, right? But since it's NFT, right, you can also always after you mint, you can go and you can resell it on secondary marketplace. You can essentially aggregate more than one character, right? So with that in mind, we decided not limit it, right? So if someone wants to have more, they can get more, right? Because we will ultimately not be able to control it, right? So that's about that's about claiming it, right? Any other part of the question that I missed? I'm just trying to look into it. Yeah, and how do people plan to distribute NFT characters? To answer this, they're going to be essentially minted by users. So we plan it to do on our platform similar to the way you guys did for land. And we also had this idea, and that's something that we had in our contest, that so there's going to be also default characters that you can also mint, and there's going to be like just the minting fee. So essentially, you go there, you mint, and you use it in the GameFi. That's the process.
Thanks, Eugene. So I just noticed a really good question in the general chat that I want to insert here because I don't find it on the rest of the lists. Somebody was asking about promoting this project, and essentially what they're asking about is marketing efforts, right? This is something that is my skill set, something that I'll be working on. However, I want to be clear that at the moment, if we were to bring on 100,000 users for this project, where would they go? We don't have more land to sell them, right? Because we sold out the first NFT sale, and we're currently building out all of the features that we would want to welcome them into. For example, a DEX, the lending, the LP, sort of the actual game design. So this project is very much in a stage where we want to set foundations to host more users, and so I'm specifically working on internal structural sort of foundational development, documentation, better sort of options for community participation and communication, and community governance, so that we can begin more sort of direct and exponential marketing efforts. If we were to just start shilling Colony everywhere, I think that would go more poorly for the project. And so we want to take things in a measured, sort of responsible way. But again, like everything else, that's an open conversation. Feel free to continue that discussion on the forum, and I can hop in there. So let's see, the final request, Platinum Beast 13. Do you have a question you want to ask?
Hi, yes. I was wondering, I know this is for the long run, that the land is going to give out a certain amount of colony, and then once that's done, I was wondering if we're already looking into what's going to basically keep people around, and of course it's going to be things like LP and loaning, but I was wondering if we could find another use for the land as well.
Let me just answer it quickly. So from the side of GameFi, we also, as you saw, have a lot of great ideas from the team and from the user community. So you can basically what we're looking into, around ideas around renting land, around mining on land. So yeah, there's going to be we can develop a lot of interesting things. and community can decide which ones they like, and you can just evolve this further and further. But the ones that I really liked personally was around renting. So you can have landowners and you can have settlers. So someone who settled the land and can just live on your land and just evolve there. So yeah, that one's amazing ones, but we're also exploring other options. I hope I answered this question. From the side of GameFi, maybe you guys want to answer from the side of more DeFi side.
Yeah, one of the cool ideas, I believe, when we will make like the land a little bit more editable, you guys can sell ads to be placed on your land, and I don't know, can be NFT. You can put NFT on your land and then try to sell it, kind of advertising on the Mars surface. I'm pretty sure there is going to be a way more cases, but we need just time to come up with this. So as you mentioned in the beginning, our main priority right now to make Colony in the system token when demand is always waiting for more Colony supply to fill the DEX, for example, to fill the trading, to fill the stable coin and other DeFi services. And potentially we have a chance, all of us, I would say all of the landlords, we have a chance right now to build the biggest or the most successful GameFi project on Harmony blockchain, simply because we have cool community from day one, and we have a quite clear power distribution around landlords, and all these landlords can supply initial liquidity for our DEX, which will let them to make more money. So you can see that every actually step linked to the previous one, and we have a lot of things in mind which we can link further and further. So I think it's just beginning. It's less than a month when the project is live, so I'm quite bullish on it.
The less than a month is actually quite a crazy statement right there. I'm gonna touch up on the last statement I made because I'm noticing a few more comments in the general chat saying that people can buy land on NFT Key, and I just want to be clear. I understand the desire to flip and make money, and I'm not saying that that's a misuse of this project even, but what I am going to say is I can lead a growth marketing team that will bring, a few 100,000 people, let's say, for example. Or we can hire more developers and get this project stable more quickly and more securely. And then we can do growth marketing. And in the meantime, we'll do organic marketing, make sure all the communication is good so that these NFTs have a purpose and aren't just basically another version of flipping your art on OpenSea, right? Okay, so for the next question on the submitted list, in gamification, will each upgrade lead to different perks for your plot?
I think you kind of touched up on this question, on a very similar question earlier, when there was a question asked about is there a priority about upgrading the land. So essentially, each upgrade, each facility, which will have its own function, as you're probably familiar. If it's a power plant, it produces power, right? If it's a robot assembly, it produces robots, right? If it's transportation, it lets you navigate. It lets you potentially mine resource in the future. Yeah, that's essentially the base capabilities of each of them. I'm not sure if I'm addressing this question from the angle you guys asked, but feel free to ask in chat so I can just try to clarify on anything here.
All right, we'll take that discussion onto the forum because we just passed the hour mark. So out of respect for your time and our time, we're going to wrap this up. I'll sort of rapid fire give a little bit of an overview to the remainder of the questions on the list, but we'll hang out onto the list. We're going to do another one of these AMAs next week. Eventually, we'll likely expand to maybe doing some Twitter Spaces. So there will be plenty of opportunities for you to ask your questions. And as always, feel free to make a post on the forum, tag us if you want a specific team member's input. But the majority of the remaining questions on this list anyway are sort of either feature specific, which, you know, the answer will end up being the same. It's an ongoing conversation where we have some determinations for the core functions of the ecosystem, and we have long-term plans for sort of the reproducibility of a system. But when it comes to the details of how is it going to be animated, do we have thoughts for the UI? Do we have airdrops? Are we doing, for example, like a good question here is collaborations with other games on Harmony? All of those things are sort of more specific project oriented that can be determined as we get closer to like approaching that timeline, right? We'll burn that bridge when we come to it, as people misquote the old saying. So if your question didn't get answered, we will address it next time. Be sure to show up next week if you're interested. If you feel that these times don't work, feel free to post on the forum. This is the best time to get most of the team onto a call, so keep that in mind. But if we have enough pushback, and this would just be really more convenient for most of the community, just give us your feedback, basically. Thanks for joining, guys. Anybody on the team have any closing thoughts?
No, just thank you, everybody. As you mentioned, for the first month, we're just gonna do like AMA every week to know each other better, and you guys can come with for the next time. You can come with idea, and we can even brainstorm this idea. Just if it's like really people thinking about this idea and it works to talk all together. So happy to do this. For the again next 4 weeks, we're gonna do this. And then later on, we will figure out how often we want to meet all together. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, just closing remark from just last closing remark from me. Sorry, guys, on the product side. So as we have a lot of ideas, just be mindful of that. We have to have trade-offs, and we have to make some choices. So if you feel like that your choice was not considered, please let us know, or like we can also continue discussing. But essentially, we're trying to kind of encapsulate feedback of everybody in the features that we're building and the features we're going to be deploying soon. So thanks a lot for today. That's all from my end.
All right, looks like that wraps up our call. Thanks so much for attending, guys, and we'll see you around.